Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibis. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Friday. It's the weekend, y'all. I didn't get this out yesterday, but our internet has been really spotty since we had that huge storm roll through earlier in the week. We've got more rain here now, so I'm crossing my fingers I can get through this without my connection dropping because I sound like a robot when that happens. But I have Donna's jail records. I was sent those a couple of days ago, been going through them, picked out the best parts. Nothing too explosive. It gives insight into what has been going on with her while she's been at the Leon County Jail. I've also put in for her records in Miami, as well as Charlie's records at the Leon County Jail, hoping to get those soon. One other thing that I want to do after we finish with these wiretaps is go through Charlie's ex-girlfriend June's interview with police. I was listening to that last night. She gives a lot of good insight into Charlie's state of mind after the bump and then also after the arrest started happening. She really was in love with Charlie. And even at the time of this interview, he had already had his baby with Bree. And she just absolutely admitted she was still in love with him. And this was hard. I want to go through that. So we've got a ways to go on this series. There's not a whole lot going on in the cases we cover right now. So we're going to keep plowing along with this. So that way, when Donna's trial rolls around, we're all ready to go. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, share it with your friends. If you want notifications, hit the little bell. You guys showed out the other day. I tell you, I got a lot of new subscribers. I appreciate you guys so much. Let's hop on to our music fact of the day. What are some great songs that were written in 20 minutes or less? Crazy Little Thing Called Love by Queen. Yesterday by the Beatles. You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys. Need You Tonight by NXS. Your Song by Elton John. And Losing My Religion by REM. That's me in the corner. You know, they're calling maybe for some winter weather here on Tuesday. And I'm going to tell you, if it snows, your girl's getting on a sled and I'm going down this big hill near my house. I will video proof of that. I'll probably also be showing you photographic proof of me in a full body cast later in the day, but you only live once, right? You think about this case in its totality and just the worst part of it, obviously, being that Dan Markell was shot and killed and his boys have been deprived of any life with their dad. I'm sure what memories they have are very vague. They were 2 and 3 when he was shot and killed. And then you have the Markell family who have been denied the opportunity to watch these boys grow up and hit these important milestones. You have to wonder, did they ever think that these boys would grow up? I mean, yeah, they were toddlers when this happened, little cute babies that needed you all the time. But if you listen to those jail calls, even Donna gets emotional when she says, Wendy doesn't need me as much. The boys don't need grandma. They have friends. And she kind of gets choked up. And here we are, nearly 10 years later, the boys are in their teens. And now Charlie's going to prison for life. Donna's in jail awaiting trial, could be headed to that same fate as Charlie. Maybe more arrests, we don't know. And I don't think any of them at this point would say it was worth it. From July 2014 to April of 2016, when the bump happened, they maybe had some stress-free time and were enjoying the fruits of their evil deeds, which is just full access to these boys, and they're back in Miami. But after that bump happened, I don't think any of these guys were comfortable. They were always looking over their shoulder. June really gets into this in her interview with police. We're going to do that. But first, we're going to do Donna's jail files. Let's see what she's been up to. So these came in my email just a couple of days ago, and I spent some time looking over them. A lot of these documents are really just her files while she was on direct observation. They get very repetitive, not a whole lot there, but I picked out the juiciest parts of this. If you're on YouTube, this is an overhead shot of the Leon County Jail. I was looking at their Facebook not too long ago. These look like some amazing officers, correctional officers, people that work there. I know pretty much every police department gives back to their communities. They seem so involved. in that community there in Tallahassee. Seems like a bunch of good people work there. So on the screen now is her Miami-Dade inmate information sheet. And we've seen this. It tells her stats. It has her profile from the front and from the side. It says she is being held on an out of county warrant. Moving on to her property intake there at Leon County. I probably think this is what she was arrested with in Miami. So, what did she have on her person? A gray hoodie, a blue shirt, a gray sports bra, gray pants, white sneakers, gray socks, black underwear, a Florida driver's license, 2 hair ties, and miscellaneous papers. She was taken to Leon County on November 20th. On the screen here is her special release form. She was actually picked up at 10 o'clock. She was booked into Leon County Jail on November 21st at 1:34 a.m. So let's look at her booking checklist. They did the mugshot. She was placed in a holding cell. She had a full body scan. If they do like a lot of other jails, it's really kind of like what you do at the airport where you go into the scanner, put your hands above your head. That thing goes all around your body. She was fingerprinted and it has her current charges and criminal history is listed as violent. She was said to be compliant. She was placed in high risk due to her current charges, which are murder in the first degree, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation to commit first-degree murder. She was also put in direct observation, obviously, because of the threats that they heard over the phone in that hot mic call where she didn't hang up. What do you get when you are put into the jail? Now, she didn't get this stuff initially because we know she was put in direct observation. She had her quilted smock and not much else in that cell. She is in general population as of yesterday on the reports that I got. So at some point, she was given these things that are standard issue: non-disposable items, a clean inmate uniform, inmate shoes, a clean blanket, clean sheets, clean towel, clean washcloth, clean pillowcase, clean underwear, 1 pillow and 1 mattress, 1 cup and 1 spork. Donna's going to be really happy to get the cup and the spork. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Disposable items would have been a toothbrush, toothpaste, soap, a comb, appropriate feminine personal hygiene items as needed. And if you watched the episode where we went through the Leon County Jail Handbook, we talked about inmates being charged for different things, such as a booking fee. On the screen here, I have her receipt for the $6 that she owes for having her mugshot taken. The direct observation sheet that's on the screen now, this is what they use to document every time they go check in on her. And at the bottom, there are some letter codes. So let's go through those. A is for awake, B is for resting, C is for court, D is for attorney visit, E is for exercise, F is for hygiene, G is for talking, R is for reading, I is for eating, J is laying on bunk, K is playing games, L is the nurse's station, M is disturbance, N is for telephone, O is for rec meds, P means moved, Q means other, and V is for visitation. On the screen now, I just have an example. I've blacked out the officers' names that did the check just for privacy reasons. I don't want to put any of these officers' names out there. But you can see here a lot of the A and J, which would mean awake and laying on bunk. That seemed to be the common theme for her the whole time she was in direct observation. But if you look at the very first one at 5:18 a.m., she was sitting up eating. She was escorted to the shower, and then they put that she's taking a shower. And then A and Q is awake and other, and she was listed as walking around in her cell. She's able to write requests. And on the screen here is one. It says, I would appreciate a phone call every day so that I could speak with my family and my attorney. It's very difficult to stare at 4 walls 24 hours a day. Also, I would like a tablet so I can read a book or the news. I've been isolated in this cell for the past 23 days. Please help me Thank you so much. The officer who got this says, I'm not over medical, but I will make contact with them and see what we can work out under your current classification. Because at that point, direct observation, you don't get much. November 29th, on her case management interview sheet, the only thing to note on there was that she was adjusting well to incarceration. Well, she finally got her tablet on December 18th. So let's look at the tablet. What can you do with the tablet? A lot of familiar apps you'll see, kind of the same as what's on our phones and our iPad. These tablets are clear so that they can be seen all the way through. You can make phone calls. They can do this from the privacy of their cell. They have access to a law library. They have access to millions of legal resources. No training or prior computer knowledge is required to perform comprehensive legal research. Under education, they have made a complete educational catalog free. There are instructional documents and videos along with exercises and tests that allow for a user to complete coursework at their own pace. They have a religious app. Religious texts and services are provided for spiritual growth and guidance. Because, everybody finds Jesus in the pokey. For games, your loved ones can spend time playing their favorite games. They have unlimited access to a large selection of well-known titles such as 2048, Solitaire, things like that. Job search, probably not going to happen with Donna. But podcasts. Users can enjoy hundreds of audio and video podcasts in a wide variety of topics. Examples: education, parenting, news, personal development, addiction recovery, mental health, music, sports, comedy, and more. Maybe there's a true crime genre in there for them. Ebooks. They have unlimited access to a comprehensive ebook library with thousands of titles. Users can choose from a variety of genres such as adventure, science fiction, drama, history, and much more. See, y'all, if I get locked up, just put like $2,000 on my books for some music. Your loved ones can enjoy their favorite music and artists. Selections include country, hip hop, gospel, pop, jazz, rock, and more. Then they have services. The services application receives real-time news and notices digitally from facility staff. So it's kind of like an e-message system. Just for example, on December 21st, it says here that Donna was talking on agency-issued device. Now, Donna can talk. The gift of gab, totally strong with mother and son. So let's look at what she's done since she got her tablet. She has talked for 88 hours. She has attempted 365 calls and or video visitations. She has completed 212 of those. 153 of those attempts were incomplete. The average duration that she talks is around 25 minutes. And how much has Donna spent in less than a month on calls? $661.41. Lord have mercy. I've looked through the call log. Do not see any calls to Wendy. Also, no calls to Harvey on that device. She has talked to him on the landline in the jail. Kind of assume if she's talking to Harvey, she's probably going through her attorneys. So let's go through her inmate event log. There are some things in here, and I've picked out kind of the best ones. Some of the other things, she may go take a shower, she may go see the doctor, but nothing really crazy. 3 days after she was brought to Leon County, it says on November 24th, while conducting MedPass, I observed a styrofoam cup sitting in the windowsill of room 516. Let it be known that inmate Donna Adelson is on direct observation and should not have this item in her room. They called an officer to see if he knew anything about the cup being in her room. He didn't know anything about the cup. There was no documentation in her event log that stated she was given a styrofoam cup by an officer or a nurse. Moving on, she refused a meal, complained to the nurse about a headache. November 25th, inmate crying. She stated that she wanted water. I informed her there was a fountain located on the sink in the cell. She stated she couldn't drink from it and that she needed a cup because she had one for 3 days. Let it be known that she was observed by myself this morning utilizing the fountain. Then on the 26th of November, She complained that her toilet in medical would clog every time the adjacent cell toilet would flush. The plunger was used to unclog her toilet, and a work order has been placed. She has refused blood work and treatment at times. When she refuses medical attention or routine medications, she has to sign a form saying that she refused. On November 28th, she talked about wanting a tablet. The defendant was advised she must be cleared by the doctor in order to get that tablet. The reason, and we heard this at her hearing, is because the headphones on that can be used as a ligature to somebody who's indicated self-harm or is just in direct observation for whatever reason. Sometimes they put you in just due to the nature of your charges. With Charlie, if you remember on the jail calls, as soon as he was found guilty, they sent him to direct observation and not back to the cell he had been in. On November 30th, Donna knocked on the door and asked why she hasn't received a phone call. I advised the inmate I have no control over phone calls. She could talk to classification or a sergeant. The same day, an officer issued a phone call to Donna. On December 6th, Donna showered. She received a green smock and a blanket. She was allowed to use the phone 2 times before her shower. She wasn't able to contact anyone. She did leave a message for Harvey. On the same day, she was able to connect with Harvey after several attempts. Can you imagine what was going through her mind when she couldn't get Harvey on the phone? On December 6th, she is to be downgraded from high risk. She is yet on direct observation until she's cleared. So, Spoongate. This seems to be the most drama Donna's had while incarcerated so far. Let's go through these. On December 12th, while the med nurse was conducting med pass, inmate Adelson gave the med nurse her food tray, saying she couldn't eat it due to being denied her spoon. Inmate Adelson is on direct observation, so she isn't allowed her spoon. When told at meal pass she could not have her spoon, she became upset and stated officers have been giving her a spoon all week. The next day, on December 13th, a sergeant enters to allow inmate Adelson to read grievance forms and fill out new forms while present. What do you guys bet that was about? A spork. That same day, on December 13th, inmate Adelson is allowed to use spoons for all meals. Inmate must give spoon back to officer after finishing meal. Information will be passed on to the next assigned officer. And then you have a lot of entries. On December 13th at 4:47 p.m., a spoon was issued. Then at 5:02, the spoon was given back. December 14th, the nurse entered the cell to check inmate Adelson's weight and blood pressure, and meds also given. She was given a spoon the same day, 5:34 a.m. A spoon retrieved back from inmate Adelson. She advised she had not ate her breakfast tray yet and asked, can she get the spoon back when she wants to eat her breakfast tray? I stated yes. Now we have an involved incident on December 14th at 7:46 a.m. Inmate Adelson received spoon at approximately 6:37 a.m. to eat breakfast. I asked, was she done with her tray a few times? And she stated, no, because I'm cold and I need to warm my hands in order to eat. She also said she will give the spoon back when done. At this moment, at 7:47 a.m., she is currently sitting up on her bunk with her eyes closed and an open breakfast tray with some food contents still in the tray. She states she is still not done eating. The medical sergeant will be notified. So that same day, 8:18 a.m., inmate Adelson has been advised to return the spoon. The inmate has been advised once more that she is to get a spoon with each meal and she must return the spoon when the officer asks for the spoon back. She stated, okay. We have another involved incident. This one came at 8:43 a.m., so less than an hour after her first incident. Adelson has been informed that she will have a limited amount of time to use her spoon for each meal. Adelson is stating that she can't eat her food when it comes because it's too cold. I informed her she would have a reasonable amount of time to have her spoon, and the officer will retrieve it thereafter. Adelson is acting as if she can't comprehend the reasoning for her not to have the spoon as long as she wishes. I informed her that if any further issues transpire with the spoon, she will not be allotted the opportunity to have a spoon at all. What happens just over an hour later on the 14th? A staff member enters to give inmate Adelson pencils and grievances to write. Oh boy. On December 14th at 10:26 a.m., the spoon was given. And then at 10:31 a.m., inmate Adelson knocked on the door to give the spoon back. This is kind of ironic, y'all. Same day, December 14th, 1:26 p.m. Adelson received top and bottom thermals and was allowed a shower prior to going out for court. The entry was accidentally placed in Charlie Adelson's event log on the date in which the event occurred. Getting mother and son mixed up. December 16th, 3:55 a.m. Upon receiving breakfast meal, Adelson was handed a spoon with her meal. Approximately a minute later, she knocked on the door stating, "You can take the spoon back. I don't need it." The officer asked, was she sure? And she responded, yes. At that time, the officer retrieved the spoon back. Adelson was observed eating portions of her breakfast. December 18th at 10:39 a.m., she was allowed to use the telephone prior to showering due to juveniles utilizing the shower at this time. According to the chief, procedures will be taken to step her down. She will be allowed to have her tablet for reading access, but will only be allowed to have the headphones when time permits. That same day, on December 18th, Adelson is being placed on step down or close supervision status. She is not allowed to have socks or towels in the cell. She is allowed to have her tablet, but headphones are to be retrieved after each use. I allowed Adelson to keep all of her clothing, gave her all of her canteen, and gave her the agency issued blanket. I retrieved her socks and placed them in the bin outside of her door. On December 19th, she changed her location. She was moved into a pod. On December 29th, Donna expressed she is completing a lot of documentation for her attorney, and while sitting on her bunk with no back support, it's beginning to cause back pain. This officer spoke with someone and they deemed it necessary to place a plastic chair with back support in her cell to accommodate her to complete her documentation in comfort. Now, just a few days ago, January 9th, she was informally disciplined. What did Donna do? It did not involve a spork. But inmate Adelson was seen at the dryer attempting to dry her clothes. Inmate Adelson was counseled with previously about the facility being on lockdown and the washer and dryer being closed. Inmate Adelson had already placed her belongings in the washer and started the washer before I could stop her. Inmate Adelson acknowledged she mistakenly misunderstood when I called for the laundry workers. Inmate Adelson was allowed to continue washing her belongings. Inmate Adelson was advised again, once the facility unlocks the washer and dryer, it will become open and that she will be allowed to dry her belongings. On January the 10th, the defendant is currently housed in general population and has received one informal during this review. And then they have here that her case management hearing is for January 30th. That is now January 22nd at 8:30 a.m. That's really everything that was eventful in that log. It really wasn't a lot of things. I mean, I'm sure she's not going to go in there and cause a lot of problems. I'm curious to see Charlie's. Kind of want to see what his life was like there. And also, Donna's in Miami. As soon as I get those, I'll be starting episodes. Because I think in Miami, you might see a little bit of a different side of Donna because it was all very new. She had been in for several days before she was moved to Leon. And so I'm curious to see what she was like down there. And then with Charlie, just to watch his acclimation process from beginning to end. That might be a lot of episodes because usually these are lengthy, but a lot of Donna's honestly was her call logs. And then just that direct observation report. That was the bulk of this. So I just picked it all out. And that way you guys don't have to sit and listen to her laying on her bunk, awake or asleep for an hour, because that's what it would have been. Let's finish up this Dolce Vita recording, the one that ended up and landed Charlie Adelson in jail. And now life behind bars. We left off with Charlie being the gentleman he is, suggesting that Katie call the number and talk to this supposed brother of Rivera's, which really was an FBI undercover agent. I love that stuff, y'all. So Charlie goes on to say, "This is what I want you to do. I want you to call up this person and say, I got a call from some friends of mine who says that you reached out to them and you mentioned my name. And remember, protect your name. These people want to go to the police because they had nothing to do with what you're talking about, okay? And frankly, I don't know what you're talking about, but the name sounds familiar of who's incarcerated. So I'm going to give you something as charity to help the less fortunate. But do not contact these people again, or they're going to the police. And let them know that you had to do everything in the world to prevent these people from going to the police because they don't know anything and I don't know anything. And the name sounds a little familiar. I'm going to help you out with some charity, and don't ever contact me, my friends, or my family again, or we'll go to the police. As Charlie. Yeah, I bet his favorite joke as a kid was Pete and Repeat were in a boat. Pete fell out. Who's left? Repeat. Charlie goes on to say that way he gets his money. He also knows that you know everything, that you may have a friend who may not be so cool with what's going on too, who may know people who knows how to handle people like this, and that this is a one-time thing. This is charity to help somebody out less fortunate. You believe in karma, and that's the only reason it's being done. If it happens again, they're gonna bring it to the police, and then the whole time you're talking, you just say, "I don't know at all what's going on. I was just called at 5:30, shaken over this. They're scared, and I told them that, 'Let me. We're gonna try to help these people, but that's it.'" You don't use anything other than the words help and charity. And then you're gonna ask that you leave these people alone, or they're going to the police. That's all I was able to come up with. If it's the police, they can't take the money. They won't even come meet you. They messed up. If it's this guy, maybe in the back of his, he knows, and then it gets jumbled here, but it's like F off times a million. And now that he's effed with his wife, he's effed with him. You F with the king himself, you better kill him because he's going to be a big problem. And he knows who you are. And if he can't do it, he'll have someone else do it. And so help me God, if they mess with my family, it's going to be like that Nazi crap because this will be done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Katie, I don't care what I spend, okay? I swear to God, Katie, this person doesn't know. Side note, Prosecutor Kappelman brings this up at Charlie's trial, saying that he's threatened to have somebody killed in this recording. Charlie goes on to say that this person, big deal, may not know anything. He knows I have you on salary, and you'd think he'd be happy about that. This next part, I think he's maybe talking about Katie's ex, Sigfredo. He doesn't have any bad feelings towards me, does he? Our paths never crossed. I didn't know that the two of you would be working it out. Katie says it's not like that. And Charlie says, it's not where I was around when you guys were together. And then I hopped in when you walked out. That's a different story. That's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? Charlie says, I mean, Katie, I'll go to the moon and back for you. That's without even saying. I don't need to say that. You know what I'm saying? Katie says, help me out. Help me out. Charlie says, like, you know it. I don't have to sit here and tell you what I would do. I could show you what I could do. You know what I'm saying? You know how I am. I look for things to do. You don't ask me for crap. I'm the one that's like, hey, your kid's birthday's coming up. I got you. You don't ask. I'm the one who is like, hey, I'll sell you the Lexus for a very good price. I know you're having car problems. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to tell you. I show you. There's a difference. So what do you think? He needs to know that it's going to go down one of two ways. Like you're either effing with me or you're effing with the police. Pick one. He said, Tudo is incarcerated and I know your family. And he's helped your family out. And I know you've been helping Katie out. Your family's been helping Katie out and his family needs some help now. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, well, maybe this will help explain it to you. Call me. And he handed it to her. He did not go through that trouble of finding her and putting that thing together and handing it to her without, and then he's just going to go away. He ain't going away. The problem is if you give in, if my mom meets him and is like, oh yeah, okay, I'll meet you tomorrow in front of the building. So he just drives up and she hands him 5 Gs. What the F do you think is going to happen next month? It's going to be, oh, we need your help again. You know what I mean? And the thing is, if my parents were really guilty, they may think they have a big fish on the line that's going to pay them monthly. And all they have to do is scare this little old lady. And who's she going to go to? She's going to go to the cops? She's guilty as hell. That stood out to me. Was that a slip? Did I misunderstand? Let me know, y'all. He goes on to say, you have to let them know these people aren't afraid of going to the cops. They've got nothing to hide, okay? You need to say that they reached out to me because you mentioned my name. And it's broken here, but Katie says, why would you ever think so and so would want to reach out to somebody that obviously would have been more personal with this whole thing? And then it says your mom. Charlie says, I'm more afraid of the long term, like knock at the door again and again and again. Katie says something you can't make out. And Charlie says, why not? Because I don't think they want to mess with his connections. And Katie says, yeah. I think he's talking about Sigfredo here. Charlie says, is he like so far removed that and then Katie says, yes, of course. Charlie says he doesn't have anybody that he can call up that's like, and then Katie says, yeah. Charlie says, you listen, you give somebody some money. It's not an admission of any kind of guilt. Listen, if you gave me money now, this is the one and only time. I don't know what this is about. I'm just telling you. You know how you can say things without saying it? Just the way he said it. Like he said, he needs your help. He was there for you and his family needs your help now. He didn't want to scare her. He didn't scare her. Oh, Charlie, you didn't see that video like we did. Let's not forget how she grabbed her chest and said, you scared me. Charlie goes on to say, but just his presence, you have to understand his presence. My mom had diarrhea all night. She hasn't been eating and she's been up since 2:00 in the morning with diarrhea. Like, how do you think that feels with my mom, 65 years old? And up since 2 in the morning with diarrhea. My head was, when I was leaving the house, I literally had the bag out and I had it in my car with my car keys. If you want, you guys can swing by my house later. So what are we doing? I want you to take it back, write the number down, and I'm going to give you cash. And I want you to talk to, at this point, he gives her a phone number. And then he says, there can't be that many people if it's a real number. I mean, the guy didn't have glasses or a hat. Can I tell you something else? Also, what's shocking too is that they could see who it is. Let me just put it this way. He's thinking he's blackmailing somebody. You're putting yourself out there to catch a mole. Oh boy. No, you're sending her to sacrifice herself because you're a wussy. Because when you're blackmailing someone, someone's got a couple of options to either take care of you or, hey, okay, you're blackmailing somebody who had no problem possibly doing bad things. Blackmail somebody who was banging their secretary. He says something about being in his office in the morning, and then he says he's at the Westin in the afternoon. He says he's going to do a special case for someone. But if you're going to blackmail someone that's cheating on their wife. Don't come, because the thing is, these are the big boys. If this is what it's actually revolving around, this horrible, and then you can't tell what he says. If you're blackmailing somebody who potentially had the ability to get something like this done, you've got a set of balls, because they may make you shut up real quick, which makes me think, without a doubt, he didn't come here alone. He came here with somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And then this is the next thing. You ready? So what if his homeboys want some money? All he does is he walks up and he goes, Miss Adelson and so family needs help. Meanwhile, this dude's family ain't getting nothing. We just get a bunch of scumbags knocking on my door going, somebody needs help. Well, guess what? I don't have anything to do with what happened down there. You don't. I don't know anyone who does. I don't know who Tuto even is, okay? Like, I don't know these people. So my point is, and the problem is, once you pay, you're going to get every Tom, Dick, and Harry showing up going, hey, somebody needs help. Go to the police. I don't care. Go to the police. Tell them what you know. I'll tell them what I know. Nothing, because I don't. It's broken up here, FBI, and then it says 5 in the morning. Hey, you know who this is coming from? Inside. I don't know anybody that's got that facial hair, just the 5-day shadow. So that's it for today. That's kind of broken up in that Dolce Vita recording. Sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense because there are words that are kind of lost between blenders and everything else that's going on in the background. But you see Charlie sort of panicky about this, even though to his mom, he's acting like, hey, no big deal. I got this. I got it handled. To where with Katie, he's like, you do it. Okay, I'm gonna give you the money. I'm gonna give you the number. You do it. Didn't do any good because Charlie's a lifer now. By the way, he's still at the intake center. I checked today. So what's next? We're gonna go through some more of these wiretaps, trying to get some with Katie where she's talking to attorneys, she's talking to friends in panic mode. There's some calls that I think I can clean up enough to let you guys hear. That's my preference. But when it's jumbled up and people that don't watch the YouTube version with subtitles, that way, just kind of sum it up and go through. I want to do this interview with June that she did with police, and we're going to keep going because I like to tell the whole story. It's intriguing, and I am down the Adelson rabbit hole in a big way, y'all. Can't even see the sunlight. I'm so deep. But in the end, it's about justice for Dan and his boys and his parents and everybody that knew and loved him and that was deprived of a lot of really great years with that man. And how ironic, nearly 10 years later, just now, starting to wind down the arrests, but we'll see if there's more. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. We will see you soon. Hope you guys have a really good weekend.